income have. So that's a great way to buy a house. Okay, great way to buy a house. If you're doing a deal like that and you're paying $1,000 a month to a guy, how much of that money is going off towards the principal? Yeah. All of it. Okay, you get yourself 20 of those in your portfolio, your net worth is going up by $20,000 a month, and that doesn't even count appreciation. It's a beautiful thing. If you're not doing it, you really got to start paying attention to it. Another thing that I like to tell people all the time is your price, but my terms. Okay, a lot of times I meet people, they've got a fixed number in their head what they must sell their house for. Now, your typical landlord mentality is the low ball. If you talk to landlords, that's mostly what they do. They go out and they put lousy offers. Crappy offers here and lousy offers there, and they keep doing it all day long until somebody says yes, right? Well, what you do when you find somebody who has a free and clear house is sometimes I do the opposite. I want to low ball them, okay? But I also know that I found this guy from direct marketing. His house isn't for sale. Remember, I buy houses that aren't for sale. So I'm already in a situation where I have no competition. Now, if he says to me, ask him what he thinks his house is worth and what he needs to get to sell this house. And if he gives you a number that's high, fine, give it to him. Don't lowball him, but structure the terms of the financing so that you get what you want. You get 0% interest. You get to stretch out the payments for a long time. So that's the kind of thing that I do. I try to give them their price, but my terms. Okay? Now, some people will give you a hard time about that, and they'll say, but like 0% interest. I mean, come on now. You know, anybody who lends money today, you know, they're going to get 7% on their money. I said, well, I didn't ask you for a loan, did I? You asked me if I could buy your house. I'm going to buy your house. I'm a buyersman, remember? But if you do have money to loan, guess what? I work with private investors. We have a program for that. This just isn't that program. If they're real savvy and they want to charge me an interest rate on the money, depending on the deal, I might do it. But, you know, the point is that this is a financing business, and a lot of landlords, I don't think that they pay attention to that. A lot of landlords are bricks and sticks guys, and they don't always tackle the financing portion of this business. And if you find somebody who has a free and clear house, man, there's a million ways you can put that deal together, so you really need to analyze that. Okay, so if it's a bank-owned property, and I'm still buying a lot of REOs today. I'm making some nice deals there. I just bought one 3 weeks ago. Generally, the best way to get those is low-ball offers for cash. But I also want to buy those with no money down. So what I do is I go around, I sell these books, I do a lot of presentations, I meet a lot of people, and sometimes I find private investors at meetings like this who want to be involved with me. They want to capitalize on my 22 years experience, and they don't want to make any mistakes themselves, so they become the private lenders of the real estate deals that I'm putting together. So I'm using their money, I'm paying them 7% interest or whatever deal we work out on their money, and I'm buying this bank-owned property, low-ball offer, with someone else's money. Now, if they have existing loans on the property, I do subject to deals. I don't know if anybody here does subject to, but if you don't know about it, you really need to check it out, because it's pretty hard to borrow money today, isn't it? For real estate investors? If you've got a lot of properties, it's pretty hard. So you want to find out, do you have an existing mortgage? Really, do you understand what a subject to mortgage is? I could buy your house, have a settlement, but instead of getting a free and clear title, I am going to take over making your payments on your note. The note is going to stay in your name, but I'm going to make the payments on it. And when we get out of this economic situation that we're in right now, 3 years, 5 years, whatever it may be, I'm going to refinance that note at that time with the conventional loan from a bank. Now, people always say, well, you can't do that. The banks have a due on sale clause in the mortgage. Yeah, well, I don't have an agreement with that bank. The person who has that note does. And I can assure you that with all the troubles banks are having today, as long as they're getting paid on that note, they might not like the fact that the property was sold and the note is still there. But with all the problems they're having with collecting money today, 9 out of 10 times they're going to leave you alone. Okay, if they do try to pressure you into getting a loan out of your name, you might have to bring in a private investor or refinance the deal somehow. But this is a great way to acquire properties. I find so many people who have a house worth 200 grand and they owe 170 on it. And they know that if they put it up for sale with a realtor on the market, they're most likely going to get 170 or even less. I come in and go, I'll take it over your payments, end of story. That's it. No money down. I just start making payments on their note. We just did a deal, me and Jeremy did a deal with this woman in Philadelphia. And she agreed to do a subject to mortgage. But at settlement, she was expressing reservations about the deal. So she made us promise at settlement that in 6 months' time, we would refinance her note, okay? We would get her out of it, get her name off the property. So we agreed to do it. Well, we get a call from her about 5 months into the deal, and she says, I never realized that with you guys making my mortgage payment, my credit is getting repaired. Please don't pay off my mortgage. But it was already too late. We had already structured, we kept our word, and we had already structured a private lender who was financing the construction on this property to also take over her note, and he would not lend us the construction money unless he had first position, so he had to buy her out. But the point to the story is that you meet a lot of people who are scared of subject, who don't understand it, and are very apprehensive about it, but once they see how it works, they're going to be thanking you for it. So it's a great way to buy a house. Another thing that I do is I do a lot of these things together. This deal is not just a seller finance deal, and then that one is just a subject to deal, and that one is just a private lender deal. A lot of times a deal requires a combination of these things. Like maybe the house is worth 150 grand and they've got a $75,000 first mortgage, and I'm able to buy the house for 125 grand. Okay? I take over their existing mortgage of $75,000 and I go to a private lender to borrow the 50 grand. And the 50 grand goes to the buyer gets 50 grand plus I take over the note. Okay? So again, I use none of my own money. I use the combination of two creative financing techniques to acquire their property. The seller is happy, I'm happy, I use none of my own money, the private lender is thrilled, he's getting paid. Okay? In that case, the private lender would have to be in second position, right? But if they know you, if you do business with people who know you, like you, trust you, no problem, okay? I've got a lot of private lenders who are happy to do that. What happens if you find a guy who's upside down on his property? It's a short sale, okay? I hate to do short sales, but what I do today is I pay people to do them for me. I got a guy who will put together a short sale for me for $4,000 or $5,000 a deal. And he's an expert at it. And I only have to pay him if he puts the deal together. If he worked real hard on it, I might give him a grand or something. But that's another way that we can buy properties today. So you got seller financing, you got subject tos, you got cash offers using private money, and you got short sales. All of these techniques require no money. Okay, none of my own money goes into these deals. Anyway, all of my money is already in real estate. If I had 50 grand laying around, I'd put it in a piece of real estate in 3 weeks anyway. So I don't know about you guys, but I've been living the life of equity rich and cash poor forever. You know, you can also do options. I haven't done a lot of those. My partner over here, Jeremy's done a lot of them. I go to sheriff sales a lot, but I don't buy properties at sheriff sales. What I get from sheriff sales is information. I want to watch what are the banks willing what is the upset price that the banks are willing to pay for these properties. That's key information because I know what the banks think these properties are worth. And I also get to watch some of the most astute investors in my area, what they're willing to pay for these properties. Now that's valuable information because I don't want to just determine what I think they're worth. I want to sit in a room where 20 of the best investors in my area, what are they willing to pay for those properties? And I make notes of all these things so that I get a real good, strong feeling about the buildings I'm buying. I know I'm buying them at the right price, and that's critical because we don't want to be making any mistakes in this business. I've been around 22 years. I hopefully have made all the big mistakes I'm going to make. Right? I want to be mistake-free from here on out. I have stopped flipping. Now, formally, bulk of my money that I survive off of comes from my portfolio. But if I need a few extra bucks, maybe I need an extra 50 grand each year, I do a couple of flips. Well, I don't know about in this area, but it's very, very difficult to be selling anything in Bucks County and the Philadelphia area where I live. There's a tremendous amount of inventory and nothing is moving and nobody can borrow any money. So I'm not doing a lot of flips, but I'm trying to hold on to everything I can, okay? Because rents are definitely rising, at least in my area they are. So if I can't flip, right, how do I get paid? I told you I'm going to show you how the 20/20 vision, I'm buying houses with none of my own money, without the support of banks, and I'm keeping the properties, and I'm getting paid to buy them, okay? So how do I do that? One way is to overborrow from my private lender, okay? Now let me clarify what I mean by overborrow. If I make a nice deal on a piece of property, I just did one, it's a bank-owned property, comps were 235 and 255. I got the property for 165,000. Only needs about 20 grand in work. So I'm talking about a building that I'm going to have 185 into. I brought the private lender in who's financing the entire 185, and I told him I would like to borrow an extra 5 grand from you on this house, okay? Now this is not exactly the way I want to earn my living, is by borrowing extra money, taking out